This one little thing is killing your online business and your personal brand. It is causing you to not be able to make the amount of money that you know you're capable of making. It is causing you to get stuck. It is causing you to get tapped out. It is causing you to be overworked and underpaid. Now, if you're wondering, why is this guy making videos without a shirt? Life is better without a shirt, and I just got back from my hot girl walk. But from someone who's made multiple six figures online with a small personal brand of about 6,000 followers, I can genuinely say that every time I see a 3 ways to XYZ post, I die a little inside. The reason why is because it is so average, it is so boring, it is so vanilla. And there are so many personal brands out there. Like, I'm sure you're one of them. You have a personal brand, you're selling your knowledge and skills online, you've gotten a couple clients, but you might even feel average. You might even feel like, why is there a competition? It shouldn't feel like there's competition. It shouldn't feel like, you have to fight for clients or pull teeth to get someone to say yes. And that comes from being in a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset, which is something that I've covered in the past and I will continue to make videos on. But the point of the video today is, how can we get out of being average and how can we be exceptional? And I'm going to give you 3 actual strategic tactical things to do at the end here. So we'll get into that. Don't worry, because I'm a logical guy. I want the actual, okay, what do I actually do? So I'll get you on that. Don't worry. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it genuinely hurts me. And I used to do the same thing. I used to do, I worked with fitness and health coaches only, help them build their personal brand online and get clients. I did that for a year and a half with exclusively fitness and health coaches. And I went broader because there's just so many other people that need my help. Businesses who have a face and they're like, they have a face to the brand and they're like, we need to build this personal brand to help the business. And individuals who, I'm making $1,500 to $3K a month, but I need to get to $10K. And so, with all that said, I've done that as well. I've done the top 3 ways for this or 5 tips for this. And so not that there's anything wrong with giving people these tips and giving people this education and value, but you need them to think like the way that you think. You need them to think like you. Much better way of saying that. They need to think like you in order to want to work with you. And so they have to adopt your way of thinking. And so if we actually look at it that way, and if we look at the fact that people want to buy from people and not businesses, what are businesses going to do? Businesses are going to say, look at how great we are. Like, this is actually one thing that I was covering with a one-on-one client that I have that is a business, but they're building up a personal brand for the founder and the face of the company. And that is one thing that they were doing before, is like, we're so great. Our business does this, does XYZ. Our business is better because XYZ. And so what we had to do is we had to reframe that and not go, and number one, not go our business. We had to go personal brand, right? I don't want to say names and stuff, but we had to push this figure of the business because people want to do business with people, not businesses. And so if we take a look at this and we break this down, the difference between being average and being exceptional is being a personal brand. Being exceptional is being a genuine human online. Being average is being a business, is trying to say that you're better than all these other people, is getting stuck in scarcity mindset and competing with people for clients and thinking that you have competitors and all these things, right? There is more than enough room for everybody in the world, right? I'm 15 minutes out of downtown Tampa in Florida. When we go down there, there's like these massive buildings, right? And these buildings are hundreds of millions of dollars. It's like, that's just a couple buildings in one downtown area of an entire country. Like, there's so much money out there. And we think that we have direct competitors, right? And if you have competitors, it's because you suck. Right? It's because if you're a competitor is if you're a business and you have business competitors, but no one can compete with you. There is no other Tyler Payne. I mean, there might be other people named that, but there's no one else that is Tyler Payne that is doing what I'm doing. right? And so that's why it's so important to build that personal brand, but build it in a way that we're exceptional and we're not average. So something that if you've ever listened to Bedros Keuilian, I love what he says. He says, I haven't listened to him in like a year, but he says average is the enemy, success is your responsibility, and something else. But the first part there, average is the enemy. I want you to adopt that. Average is the enemy. Every time you make a piece of content, don't be average. Every time you make, right, that's like if you, well, I've privated some of my old content that was specifically for fitness and health coaches. But if you look back at it before, it was like, three ways fitness and health coaches can get clients online. Like, that's fine, but it's so boring. It's so average, right? And so how can I be exceptional? And how can I say things in a different way, right? This is inspired. I write, and then I take little pieces that I write from and I create like raw, unfiltered reels. I'm starting to do that on Instagram, where I'm just ranting for a little bit on my hot girl walks outside. And then also I take that post and I use that as guidelines to make these YouTube videos to riff off of and to go deeper into, right? And so if you look at the hook that I used in the post that's going to be on Instagram that created this YouTube video, was I die a little inside every time I see a top 3 ways to XYZ post, right? I could have said that backwards, but I wanted the I die a little inside to be the hook. But I said it backwards in this one. I said, every time I see a top 3 ways to XYZ post, I die a little inside, right? I said that within the first couple sentences of this YouTube video, right? And so I could have just said, your content is average. You need to be better. You suck, right? Which I did tell you a couple minutes into it, but I told it to you in a different way. I told you in a way that gets you to care. I told you that your content sucking is hurting me because I die a little inside. You're slowly, it's a death of 1,000 cuts. Every time I see that, I'm like, gosh, there's so much potential there that's being wasted, right? Because we all have such unique perspectives and abilities and stories and ways that we can communicate information to people, that you just putting all of that into the box of top 5 tips is just wrecking everything for you, right? And so with all that said, it has never actually been easier to be exceptional because of that specifically, because the bar is set so low, because people don't do stuff, because people like just copy viral strategies. I talked about that in a video that I made like 2 or 3 videos ago, where everybody like the way to go viral, people are just copying what went viral. But then the problem is that everybody sounds the same, and then you just become an echo and you're not a voice, right? I want you to find your true voice, because that's what's going to get people to buy from you, because people buy from people and not businesses, right? So the bar is incredibly, incredibly low. You just have to be different. You just have to be exceptional. You just have to be a voice and not an echo. And so now we get into the tactical part. How do you become exceptional? What do I actually do? Okay, Tyler, I understand why it's important. I understand why people buy from people and not businesses, but how do I actually be different? How do I actually be exceptional and not average? Well, number one, don't follow the quote unquote viral frameworks, right? Be different than everybody else. And I'll give you kind of 3 prompts that you can follow. So the first, or not prompts that you can follow, I'll give you 3 things that you can think on and take that into next time you're creating content and reshift your frame and reshift your thinking so that you think in the same way that I think and you adopt my way of thinking. See how that all comes back around? All right, so the first one is talk about current client specific results instead of using generic statements, right? So if I'm ever talking, I did it in this YouTube video. I said one of my clients was a business and they were talking too businessy, and we needed to bring up the founder and the personal brand and the face of the company, right? I didn't just say, I gave specific as much as I could without saying, with keeping the confidentiality of clients, but I explained the situation, right? I didn't just say businesses should have one face, should have the founder as the face and should do whatever. I said this specific situation, right? Or another story that you'll hear me tell is something like I've had, this is one of the stories that I tell. I've had three people that I've helped build their personal brand. They had less than 500 followers and they made 3K in 1 week with less than 500 followers, right? With their personal brand. So instead of just saying, here's how to make 3K a week with a personal brand, I can go deeper and say, I've helped 3 people with less than 500 followers make $3,000 in a week with their personal brand, right? So use specific results from your clients that you currently have or have had in the past and use those to make statements instead of making generic blanket statements that are boring, right? And average. How can we be exceptional? We can be specific, okay? And then the second thing that we can do is we can authentically display our personality, right? So authentically display personality. I told you that I like to live life without a shirt. Usually I work without a shirt. I'm just here either standing 90% of the time. Sometimes I sit, my chair is on the other side of the room because I don't sit that much. That is part of my personality. I'm super into my health. I'm super anti big pharma, anti-big government. I think that they make money off of you when you're sick, so they don't want you to be healthy. Cancer patients are the most profitable, most profitable type of patient, right? My wording's bad on that. You get the point, right? And so I'm very focused on organic foods, raw foods, grass-fed meat, right? Like all that stuff, pasture-raised eggs, okay? That's something about me. I carry knives everywhere I go, along with other things. And so you can authentically display your personality by your thoughts, your beliefs, your the way in which you think, all of these things, right? So instead of, I posted something on my, I'm giving you specific examples because not to bore you and to hold you here, but I'm giving you specific examples because I want it to jog your memory, right? And jog and make you think of, oh, what can I do, right? I'll give you one last example here. I got to pull it up because it's in my archived stories because it was from yesterday. But I put a post. There was someone who had, when I was leaving the gym, there was a car that had a Kamala Harris stickers on it, Kamala Harris for president, right? And I said, I didn't realize hyenas could run for president. And I was like, haha, but for real, this is going to be an interesting election. So obviously, I watched the debate. It was interesting. I thought, I thought it was interesting. I will not be voting for Mrs. Harris, but I think that we need some better, options because right now it feels like the lesser of two, to some extent, the lesser of two evils. I like Trump for his business. Man, I'm really getting on a tangent here. I like Trump for his business and economics and how he ran the country like a business, which I appreciated because everybody was doing super well during that time. But is he a little rough around the edges? Sure. Has he said some things that have pissed some people off? Sure. Has he said some things that he shouldn't have? Sure. But hey, if it's one or the other, it's a pretty clear choice to me, right? So these are things that we can authentically display, right? And whenever I post stuff like that, whether it's a story or an actual post or whatever, where I give some of my beliefs, I'll usually lose a couple followers, right? And that's okay. That's just people filtering out. But these people aren't going to actually work with me anyway, so who cares? It doesn't really matter, right? Now the third part here, because I'm going to drone this out too much, and I got to go make some dinner because I am starving. So the third point is be extremely specific to the point where it's oddly relatable to your ideal or dream clients, right? So once again, if I, for example, with that post title that I mentioned, I have helped 3 people specifically with less than 500 followers make $3,000 in 1 week, over $3,000 in 1 week with their personal brand. right? That is extremely specific to the point that if someone has, a couple hundred followers and they're trying to make money with their personal brand, they're going to be like, whoa, right? Or another one, I have worked with client Faith. She had 25,000 followers and was barely making $1,000 from her personal brand. And guess what? Now she's making $10,000 to $15,000 a month instead of $1,000, right? And so I can speak about these specific situations so that it's oddly specific to my ideal or dream clients, right? That's all I got for you tonight. There's a free masterclass down below in the description. Forgot to tell you earlier. But if you made it to the end, that's your gift. It's a free 37-minute masterclass. It'll just take you to another YouTube video that I have. It's how I made my first $10,000 a month profit with my personal brand while only having 2,500 followers. It was like 2,400 something followers. So go check that out. Go check out the other videos on my channel, subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow.